Well, we're glad you're with us again today, and I'm especially glad to have my good friend, my bud, Andrew. Andrew Blackwood, thank you for being here again. You've
Always
been
a
on the show
pleasure, Mike.
before, but we want to do something special for Christmas.
Hmm.
I wanted you to come and help us unpack those four big words that we see all the time at Christmas time: hope, joy, peace, and love.
Yes.
And so today, as a psychotherapist and also a great author of the book, The Art of a Genuine Apology,
Yes.
uh, you're going to draw from that, but you're going to talk to us about hope. So let's start with the low side, and we're going to build to the high side. Talk to me about some of the things that take away hope during the holidays.
Definitely. Hope is something that many people struggle with intensely around the holidays. And then we know that, around the world, one person every 40 seconds takes their life, or I should say, succeeds at taking their life. For everyone who doesn't, there are at least 21 who try.
That has to be troubling.
It's staggering. It's heartbreaking. And I'm glad we're talking about it because that in and of itself is giving people hope. The fact that it's not something we have to suffer in silence about. We can talk about it. And what I've found with all the people that I've talked about who've ever considered suicide is that sense, that feeling of hopelessness, which is attached to some very specific beliefs. Thinking that I'm powerless, I can't change my situation. Nobody else can change my situation, and if they can, if God can, He won't. And that's a belief system which fuels that powerlessness and hopelessness, which is the opposite of what is actually present for us.
I know you're talking to so many people right now. I mean, I was astounded last week when I realized in Canada, 11 people take their lives every day, 4,000 a year. And in the Niagara region where I live, 17% of high school students have seriously considered ending their life.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that kind of hope.
And in a relationship context, the thoughts still apply, right? We find ourselves in relational situations because there's usually a relationship dynamic, right? Whether it's somebody feeling alone or feeling unheard or even unsafe, we don't think that we can shift that dynamic. We don't think we can make change because to make change in our minds, we have to control the other person, which we all know is impossible. And I remember when I was a kid, my parents were divorced and it was a messy situation. And at the age of 13, I testified in court and I was the person who the judge asked, "Can your dad come home?" And I broke my dad's heart and said no. And that contributed to a dynamic for the next 3 years where, I did and I said some things which were not kind because I had 3 siblings and it was a single mom and there wasn't enough money to go around. So I engaged with my dad when we needed to because we needed money, which set up a dynamic where he was feeling used and, and then I would blame him and I'd say, if you weren't the way that you were, then we wouldn't be here right now, which was, as a teen who thinks he knows everything, I thought I was right. But long story short, that dynamic continued for 3 years until the Lord spoke to me and said, "Call your dad, tell him you love him."
Wow. Okay, so take that and help us in the concluding part of this segment to understand there are many things that snatch away our hope.
Yes.
A father can, a mother can, a spouse can. How do we rebuild hope? And especially at the Christmas time, give me 1 or 2 things that I can start to do.
Right. So the beautiful thing about hope is, yes, I do believe in miracles, and I also believe that God wants us involved. So when He told me to call my dad and tell my dad that I love him, that was something within my control. I could do that. And when I did that, it set off a chain reaction. And over time, the years, it improved our relationship. All I needed was that spark. All I needed was that direction. And I believe that God gives us that direction to impact change.
So listen for that nudge that God is whispering in your heart right now to do something, to be proactive.
To be proactive. And, sometimes we think the end result is just too big. I can't get there. I can't get to reconciliation. But the starting point for me was forgiveness. And that is up to us. That we can do today. That as God leads us and empowers us, that's where that living hope comes in. All we got to do is take that start.
And take a step.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you've been listening to Andrew Blackwood, and you've written a great book called The Art of a Genuine Apology. And this book, it can be like a guidebook. What a great Christmas present to give to someone that you love, that you care for. Thanks, Andrew.